What happens when one of Hollywood's most powerful stars walks into a studio known for fearless questions and suddenly realizes this interview won't be easy? The clip opens mid-sentence. No build-up. No warning. Tom Cruise leans forward, his voice tight, controlled, but unmistakably heated. "That's not what I said," he snaps. Sunny Hostin doesn't blink. But it is what people heard. The audience gasps. A sharp intake of breath ripples through the studio. Someone lets out a nervous laugh, quickly swallowed by silence. The camera cuts between their faces, Tom's jaw clenched, Sunny's expression steady, unyielding. This is no longer a casual morning show moment. This is confrontation. And before we go any further, if you want more explosive moments like this, moments where celebrity polish cracks and real emotion breaks through, subscribe to Prime Talk right now, hit like, and comment below. Because what you're about to hear isn't just drama, it's a collision. Just minutes earlier, everything had felt safe. Applause filled the studio as Tom Cruise stepped onto the set of The View, flashing that familiar megawatt smile. Decades in Hollywood had taught him exactly how to command a room, how to appear open without revealing too much, how to charm without surrendering control. The hosts welcomed him warmly. Jokes landed. The crowd laughed. Tom spoke about filmmaking, about pushing boundaries, about doing his own stunts because authenticity matters. Heads nodded. Applause followed. This was the Tom Cruise people expected. Disciplined, confident, untouchable. But The View isn't built for comfort. As the conversation shifted, Sunny Hostin adjusted slightly in her seat. Her posture didn't change much, but the energy did. Sunny doesn't rush her questions. She waits until the moment is right, until the audience is listening. "Tom," she said calmly, "you've always spoken very strongly about personal responsibility and belief systems. But some of your past comments, especially about mental health and medication, still concern people." The applause faded. The room grew quiet. Tom's smile froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but there. He nodded once, prepared. "I think it's important," he replied carefully, "to challenge ideas that people accept without question." Sunny didn't interrupt. She let him finish. Then she leaned in. "But when those challenges come from someone with your influence," she said, "they don't land as theory. They land as guidance." That was the moment the temperature changed. Tom shifted in his chair. His shoulders squared. "I don't tell anyone what to do," he said. "I encourage people to think." Sunny met his gaze. "Do you also acknowledge," she asked, "that some people may stop seeking help because of what they hear?" A murmur ran through the audience. Someone whispered, "Oh." Tom inhaled sharply. "That's an assumption," he said, "and I don't accept it." Sunny's voice remained even, but the edge was there now. "It's not an assumption," she said. "It's lived experience for a lot of people." Tom leaned forward. "What's lived experience?" he replied. "Is people being failed by systems they are told not to question." The words landed hard. A few claps broke out. Others sat frozen. Whoopi Goldberg glanced sideways, sensing the shift but allowing it to unfold. This wasn't chaos. It was something deeper. A philosophical standoff, happening live. Sunny folded her hands. "No one is saying don't question," she said. "What I'm asking is, where does responsibility come in?" That's when Tom interrupted her. "With respect, Sunny," he said firmly, "responsibility also means not silencing alternative viewpoints." The interruption drew an audible reaction. The audience leaned forward as one. Sunny didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I'm not silencing you," she replied. "I'm asking you to recognize the weight of your words." Tom shook his head, frustration now visible. "And I'm saying," he pushed back, "that you're framing disagreement as danger." Sunny's eyes narrowed slightly. "Because sometimes," she said, "it is." Silence slammed into the room. The easy smiles were gone. This wasn't promotional chatter anymore. This was belief versus belief, influence versus accountability. Tom Cruise, the man known for control, was being challenged in real time by someone who wasn't impressed by stardom. The audience felt it. You could see it on their faces, the tension, the excitement, the discomfort. Phones were already buzzing. Somewhere, clips were being cut, tweets being typed. Tom leaned back, exhaling through his nose. But he wasn't retreating. "I trust people to think for themselves," he said. "That's my position." Sunny responded without hesitation. "And I trust evidence," she said. "That's mine." 2 sentences. 2 worldviews. Colliding. And everyone watching knew. This was only the beginning. The air in the studio feels heavier now, like something invisible has settled between the chairs. Tom Cruise sits back, but the tension hasn't left him, it's just changed shape. His confidence is still there, but now it's edged with irritation, the kind that comes when someone refuses to accept a carefully built narrative. Sunny Hostin notices it. She always does. She doesn't rush her next question. Instead, she lets the silence do its work. The audience shifts in their seats. Someone clears their throat. The camera zooms slightly closer, capturing every flicker of expression, every tightening muscle. "Tom," Sunny says at last, her voice calm but deliberate. "This isn't just about disagreement. It's about impact." Tom exhales through a tight smile. "Impact gets blamed on the speaker," he replies, "instead of the system that created the problem." A few audience members clap. Others look uneasy. Sunny nods slowly. "I hear that," she says. "But when people hear you challenge medical science, they don't hear nuance. They hear certainty." Tom leans forward again, his patience thinning. "You're assuming people can't tell the difference. And you're assuming," Sunny fires back, "that everyone has the same resources to figure it out." The exchange sharpens. It's no longer theoretical. It's personal, philosophical, emotional. Tom's voice rises just a notch. "So what, you think people are helpless?" Sunny doesn't hesitate. "I think people are human." The audience reacts instantly. A wave of applause rolls through the studio, louder than before. Tom's jaw tightens. He nods once, as if absorbing the blow, but his eyes say he's not backing down. "I've spent my life," Tom says, "pushing people to believe they're capable of more." "And that's admirable," Sunny replies. "But believing in potential doesn't erase responsibility." Whoopi shifts in her seat, sensing the momentum building. Joy Behar glances at the audience, then back at Tom, waiting to see if this will explode or implode. Tom gestures lightly with his hand, frustration breaking through his controlled demeanor. "Responsibility keeps getting weaponized," he says. "It becomes a way to shut people up." Sunny's expression hardens, not angry, but resolute. "No," she says firmly. "It becomes a way to protect people who don't have your platform." That word, platform, lands with weight. Tom leans back, eyes narrowing. "So because I'm successful, I'm supposed to stay quiet." A collective murmur ripples through the crowd. Sunny responds immediately. "No, because you're influential, you're supposed to be careful." The room divides in that moment. You can feel it, half the audience nodding, half bristling. This isn't just about Tom Cruise anymore. It's about power, privilege, and who gets to define truth in public spaces. Tom lets out a short laugh, not amused. "Careful according to who?" he asks. Sunny meets his gaze. "According to evidence," she says. "According to people whose lives are affected." Tom shakes his head. "Evidence changes," he argues. "Questioning it is how progress happens. And ignoring it," Sunny counters, "is how harm happens." The tension spikes. Voices don't overlap, but they collide, each line sharper than the last. The audience reacts audibly now, every sentence pulling gasps or applause. Whoopi finally steps in, her voice cutting through the energy. "Let's slow this down," she says. "Because this is important." But slowing down doesn't cool it off. Tom turns slightly toward Whoopi, then back to Sunny. "I'm not reckless," he says firmly. "That's the narrative being pushed." Sunny's response is quiet, but devastating. Narratives don't survive without patterns. Silence crashes down again. Tom's eyes flash. "So now I'm a pattern?" he asks. Sunny nods once. "A powerful one." The words hit harder than shouting ever could. For the first time, Tom looks genuinely taken aback. Not offended, challenged. The audience senses the shift immediately. This is the edge. The moment where ego meets reflection. Tom straightens, voice lower now, more intense. "I don't accept being reduced," he says. "I speak because I care." Sunny doesn't soften. "And I question," she says, "because I care." They are mirroring each other now, two people claiming the same moral ground from opposite directions. Applause breaks out again, mixed and loud. Social media is already exploding somewhere beyond the studio walls. Clips are being replayed. Sides are being chosen. Tom presses on. "You keep talking about harm," he says. "But what about the harm of blind trust?" Sunny answers without missing a beat. "What about the harm of misplaced confidence?" A sharp intake of breath spreads through the audience. Whoopi raises her hands slightly. "All right," she says. We're going to take a breath here. But everyone knows it's too late. The conversation has crossed a line from discussion into confrontation. There's no easy exit now. Tom leans back again, crossing his arms. His face is controlled, but the tension is unmistakable. Sunny sits upright, unflinching, her point made but not surrendered. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about standing ground. And as the cameras roll and the audience watches in stunned fascination, one thing becomes clear. This clash is building towards something even bigger, something rawer, something neither of them can walk away from untouched. The studio feels smaller now, like the walls have closed in around the conversation. The polite structure of a daytime talk show has completely dissolved. What remains is a charged silence, broken only by the hum of cameras and the faint rustle of an audience afraid to breathe too loudly. Tom Cruise uncrosses his arms and leans forward again. When he speaks, his voice is lower, controlled, but burning underneath. You keep framing this as danger, he says, eyes locked on Sunny Hostin. But questioning authority is how people wake up. A few audience members clap instinctively. Others shift uncomfortably. Sunny doesn't react to the applause. Her focus never leaves Tom. And dismissing expertise, she replies, is how people get hurt. Tom's head tilts slightly, incredulous. So disagreement equals dismissal now. Sunny shakes her head. No, certainty without accountability does. That word, accountability, hits like a final warning. Tom's jaw tightens. He exhales sharply through his nose. I've never claimed to be a doctor, he says. I've claimed the right to speak. Sunny leans forward, matching his intensity. And I've never said you can't speak, she responds. I'm saying words don't stop being powerful just because you didn't intend harm. The audience reacts audibly, soft gasps, murmurs, scattered applause. This isn't entertainment anymore. It's ethical combat. Tom's voice rises slightly, emotion slipping through his practiced control. Intent matters, he insists. If we start judging people only by interpretation, no one can speak freely. Sunny fires back instantly. And if we ignore outcomes, no one is protected. The exchange is relentless now. No pauses. No easing off. Tom gestures with his hand, frustration flashing openly. You're asking for permission slips to think. Sunny snaps back. I'm asking for responsibility to listen. The room erupts, louder than before. Whoopi Goldberg raises her eyebrows high, letting the moment play out, knowing interruption would only dilute it. Tom looks briefly toward the audience, then back at Sunny. I trust people, he says firmly. I trust them to make their own decisions. Sunny's voice drops, quiet but cutting. And I've sat with people who couldn't. That line lands like a punch to the chest. The audience goes silent. Even Tom freezes for half a second. Sunny continues, her tone steady but weighted with emotion. I've seen families broken because they trusted the wrong voice. Because someone influential spoke with certainty instead of caution. Tom swallows. The fire in his eyes doesn't fade, but something else flickers there now, conflict. So what do you want from me? He asks. An apology for thinking. Sunny shakes her head. No, she says. An acknowledgement. Acknowledgement of what? Tom presses. That your voice isn't neutral, she answers. That it carries weight whether you want it to or not. Tom leans back, shaking his head slowly. That logic, he says, punishes influence. Sunny doesn't waver. No, she says. It recognizes it. The tension peaks. This is the breaking point, the moment where either someone explodes or something shifts. Tom straightens, his voice firm but edged with frustration. I refuse to be told that caring enough to question makes me dangerous. Sunny responds immediately. And I refuse to pretend that questioning without context is harmless. Applause crashes through the studio, loud, sustained, divided. The audience is no longer just watching. They are participating, emotionally invested, pulled into the clash. Whoopi finally steps in, her voice strong but calm. Okay, she says. This is clearly hitting something deeper. But Tom isn't done. He turns back to Sunny, eyes intense. You're talking about systems protecting people, he says. I'm talking about people protecting themselves. Sunny meets him head on. And not everyone can, she replies. Silence again. Heavy. Emotional. Tom opens his mouth to respond, then closes it. The pause is brief, but telling. The audience senses it instantly. Sunny softens just slightly, not in her stance, but in her tone. This isn't personal, she says. It's about consequence. Tom nods once, slowly. And for me, he replies, it's about freedom. Two truths. Colliding. The clash has reached its most intense point, not with shouting, but with revelation. Both have laid their beliefs bare. Neither has won. Neither has retreated. And as the studio sits suspended in the aftermath of those words, one thing is clear. This moment will not end when the cameras stop rolling. It will follow them. It will follow the audience. And it will ignite a conversation far beyond this room. The tension doesn't disappear when the conversation pauses. It lingers, thick and unsettled, as if the studio itself is still holding its breath. Tom Cruise sits back in his chair, shoulders squared, eyes forward. Sunny Hostin remains upright, composed. But the emotional weight of the exchange is unmistakable. Nothing has been resolved. And everyone in the room knows it. Whoopi Goldberg gently brings the moment toward a close, her voice calm but reflective. These are the conversations people are having at home, she says. They're uncomfortable, but they matter. The audience applauds, not with excitement this time, but with recognition. They've just witnessed something raw, something unscripted. As the cameras widen, Tom nods once, acknowledging the room. I respect the discussion, he says, measured now. Even when I don't agree with the framing. Sunny meets his glance. And I respect anyone willing to stay in the conversation, she replies. That's how progress happens. It's not a truce, but it's a moment of mutual recognition. The core of the clash is now clear. Tom's stance never wavered. Questioning authority is essential, personal freedom must be protected, and skepticism is not recklessness. Sunny's position was just as firm. Influence carries responsibility, words have consequences, and public figures must recognize the real-world impact of what they say. Two perspectives, both rooted in concern, both unwilling to yield. As the segment ends and the show moves on, the audience reaction tells the real story. Some clap enthusiastically. Others remain quiet, visibly processing. A few shake their heads. Many look thoughtful. This wasn't about entertainment. It was about belief. And outside the studio, the fallout is immediate. Clips of the exchange spread across social media within minutes. Headlines label it heated, tense, uncomfortable. Comment sections explode. Fans rush to defend Tom, praising him for standing his ground. Others rally behind Sunny, applauding her for holding him accountable on a public stage. The debate fractures neatly along familiar lines: freedom versus responsibility, influence versus autonomy, questioning versus trust. And no one can agree on who won. That's because this clash was never about winning. It was about exposure. Tom Cruise, long known for control and discipline, showed flashes of frustration and vulnerability rarely seen in public. Sunny Hostin, often measured and composed, revealed the emotional urgency behind her questions, the human cost that drives her insistence. And the audience? They were left with discomfort, with questions, with conversations that didn't end when the episode did. This moment didn't fade when the lights went down. It followed viewers onto their phones, into their homes, into late-night arguments and online threads. It became a cultural flashpoint, not because of shouting, but because of what it forced people to confront. Now we want to hear from you. Whose argument resonated more with you? Tom Cruise or Sunny Hostin? Was this a necessary confrontation, or did it cross a line? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you want more explosive cinematic breakdowns of the moments celebrities never expect, make sure you subscribe to Prime Talk, hit like, and share this video. Because here on Prime Talk, we don't just report the moment, we take you inside it.